Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, Thrive and Edu community. My name is Melody McAllister, and it is Thrive O'Clock. Thank you for joining Rachelle and I. We have a couple of guests today. We're so excited to share with you some more opportunities that are coming up. And we hope that as you watch, that you'll drop some opportunities in the comments of what's going on with you this week or any takeaways that you have. We'd love to hear. This is just kind of a weekly wrap up that we do in our community. And so, good morning, Rachelle. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Sorry.
doing well. We're on a little bit early.
It's already been kind of a long day, and it's only, I don't know what time it is right now, but yeah. So I'm good. Yesterday was a tough day. Today is good. So
Okay, well, and you've already been busy, and I'm sorry. I totally put I put the wrong. I'm sorry, I put the wrong.
No,
It's Strive, not Strive. I was
but
you and Robert Dunlop. I always get confused. I'm sorry.
they're
And
good
your
words
days.
that go together. I
I
mean,
know. I'm
right?
sorry. Yes, it's Strive. It's Thrive and EGU. Yes. Anyway, but so your day has been already going. Mine just started. Our first. And so our first guest that we're going to bring up today, I met her because her name is Julie Pyle. Let me bring her up. I'm sorry, I haven't had all my coffee yet. Hi, Julie. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, it really matters how much coffee I've had so far, and I haven't had a lot. But Julie, so you're the president of Parent Camp, and I've been talking about that a lot. Tell us about your organization.
So we're an organization that brings family schools and communities together, and we call it family school community integration, not engagement, because we all need to be integrated together. So we started in 2016. We've had, and when we could all be together, we used to have physical parent camps, which is when parents, educators, community members would come together. They go to, it's similar to an ed camp, but there's a little bit more structure to it. So with parent camps, the sessions are preset by the input from the attendees. And so they tell us, what are you struggling with? What do you need to talk about in your communities? We get facilitators, get them trained, and then they have sessions. And people can move freely from room to room, whatever their needs are. There might be two topics going on and they want to attend both. Well, they can. We're all adults. It's law of 2 feet. So in March, when we had COVID, we pivoted to the virtual world. What had happened was I'm a very connected kind of person. I'm a Rotarian. I've been involved in our schools a lot, just connected with our community, and I work virtually. So I own my own business with Parent Camp. I have another business, and I work virtually. And I was starting to feel isolated. And working with Laura, she was kind of feeling that way because she's a consultant in education. She's the teacher side of the house. I'm the parent side of the house. And we're like, we need to do something. People are feeling isolated. And so we pivoted to the virtual world. We've been running virtual parent camps for 15 weeks. And just the connection that people are making during the discussions and the vulnerability, the people learning different other people's lenses, it's really has helped a lot of people. So, we've had a lot of educators there, we have parents there, because we're all learning each other's perspectives. And the way we're going to move forward is by feeling connected and building relationships, and we've got to provide those opportunities, and that's what Parent Camp does.
I love that so much. And I've gone to 2 parent camps so far, and I think they're amazing. But they're great opportunities for any educators that want to be involved, but also parents and community members.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what I love about the connection that we have with Rachelle is she is a leader in the Parent Square and also trying to build community. You guys have different communities, like kind of different outreaches, but doing the same thing, trying to get community involved.
Right.
Yeah, definitely the same focus, especially now with, just having that support and connection between school, wherever school actually is. For some of us right now, it's in our home, but then connecting with the parents and families too to provide that support, because definitely not easy. And I mean, just keeping the conversation going is what's most important. So if you are frustrated or confused, or or if you have the best ideas, whatever it is, just to share that, because everybody has something to learn, of course. And it's better when you have that support and those different networks like that. You're right. And for parents too, to be connected with educators.
Yeah. So with the virtual parent camps we've been running, we call those the national ones. They're every other Wednesday night at 8:00 Eastern time, and we've had some amazing facilitators on. There's been a number of authors. We had an author this past week called Parent as Talent Developers, Dr. Brenda. I'm going to forget her last name. I'm sorry.
It wasn't Benson, no?
No.
She was good.
Yeah, and she was with Doc Sheila, who I have known Doc Sheila for years, because I did a virtual boxer book study with her back in 2014 on Beyond the Bake Sale. That's when I originally met Doc Sheila. And it was really cool because on Facebook I was connected with some people who had attended, and they're going to do a book study around that book now in their community. So it's, taking things from the national level, people are taking them back locally to their community. So it's been really cool. And on the national, we've had people on from 36, 37 different states and 4 countries. So we're bringing everybody together because everybody that's an inner need. We want to belong and feel connected to other people.
Definitely. And that's kind of a good segue. So if you want to join the parentcamp.org, if you're interested about it, it's just literally go to parentcamp.org. It has an amazing website, and it'll talk all about like what they're about. And we hope that you'll take part in their opportunities. And that what you kind of said, Julie, brings me to our next guest.
There we go.
Somebody that I admire very much. Oh, I put there. Hey, Rabbi Michael Cohen, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. So it's
so,
a little early, not as early as it is for you, but
it's still early for you too. Yeah.
Hey, where is everybody at? Everybody knows I'm in Alaska. Where is everybody?
I'm in Kentucky, so I'm Eastern time zone.
I'm in Los Angeles.
Are you away from the fires, Rabbi?
Yeah. I don't even see the smoke. The ones last year were really bad. So there was like ash, landing on the street, the cars, and I knew a lot more people being evacuated then. So this is more like deeper into the forest. It's not as threatening. So thank God right now.
Yeah, totally. And so Julie was talking about like book studies and authors, and you've got some stuff going on. I've seen some pretty awesome tweets about a book study happening with your community and your book. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my book, Educated by Design, right here, is about a little over a year old now, and I have been super blessed to have a couple different book study runs. And what I think it's really been inspiring for me is trying to figure out how to support educators beyond the book. You read a book and the book has my journey, it has stories, it has some sort of hands-on tangible ways to implement the principles of creativity that I discuss in the book. But like, what do we do beyond the book? And last year, I said I wanted to create a book study guide, and I was hoping to get some feedback. And it was pretty awesome to see this Cami platform. I don't know if everyone who's watching is familiar with, but it's a really great place to interactively annotate a PDF, something that it makes no sense why Google hasn't had this since day one. But having 30 educators inside this document contributing and really help mold this, what are we going to do with this book, is I think just was something super amazing. So I have that book study guide, and I've shared it over the course of the past 2 summers. We're trying to jumpstart one in my Creating with Confidence Facebook group that's really just focused on helping educators not become creative, but realize where they are creative so they can really focus on that and have that be that anchor point to maybe expand their creative thought process, their creative expression. But actually, right now, there is a book study, has nothing to do with me, but a book study with my book on Twitter, this group of Canadian educators in Saskatchewan. and they are, my Twitter mentions is like blowing up, and I'm just like, I was like messaging a couple of them, private messaging them on Twitter, like, what's going on? Like, tell me what. So they said they get to pick books, and this is the second year they're choosing Educated by Design, and the way that educators can translate the book into action based on their reality is something that I'm learning from these tweets. Mm-hmm. So it kind of extends beyond just what the work that I do, but really seeing how others can benefit from it.
That's awesome. I know that's awesome. And Rachelle, you've got some book studies going on too.
I do. Yeah. But I was thinking back to the quote that you had from EST, the creativity, because Rabbi was very generous to do a graphic for my first book, and I was trying to think about what the quote was, and it was, I think it's creativity is not something you get, it's something you reveal. Am I right? I think I'm right.
Yeah.
But just was so thankful to have that added into my book, and I never thought I was creative or anything or would write a book, but yeah, some book studies going on with Book Camp PD this month, the EST book, the Chart a New Course, and then next month, my unconventional book. So it's awesome just to see what people are reading, their takeaways, and creating some sketch notes and things like that. It's just all the creativity of what people do when they share what they're learning, what the takeaways are. So always fun to be a part of that and to make new connections and share ideas, especially at this time of the year, or with what's going on at this time of the year too, just to have some other space where we can talk about, I don't know, whatever we're reading or encourage each other to create something. So.
Right. And that kind of takes us up to what we like to talk about on Thrive O'Clock. Like, what are the weekly takeaways, y'all? I would love to, if you're watching and you want to drop it in the comments, what are the weekly takeaways that you've learned this week? And I offer this to the panel this morning. What are some weekly things what are some takeaways that you have, like, are thinking about reflecting on this week, if you don't mind sharing? And I know I didn't prepare anybody for this.
I know. Do you want me to go first?
As we always say in parent camp, lean into the pause. Let's lean into the pause or thinking.
Right. I always have excellent wait time, so I figure I'll wait. And if nobody says anything after I count to like 10, then I'll just say something. But usually I hope that somebody else speaks up first. But I can say one thing. I mean, just yesterday was, and I don't like to be so open with feelings and things like that all the time, but yesterday was a really, really difficult day for so many reasons. And it was a struggle for me. And I got up from my computer from some work and things and walked into the kitchen and had the mail, and there was a package there from, and I won't mention who, but a friend. I saw that it was from Ohio, and I only know a few people that live in Ohio. And I'm like, what am I getting? And it was a gift that somebody just sent just to say, have a good year. And not surprisingly, it was a book about cats, which, I mean, unpredictable, but it came, I mean, just the fact that it came at that time, I mean, I clearly needed it. And so my takeaway this week is just making sure to check in on people. And even if it looks like they're doing okay, or they sound like they're okay, like they might not totally be okay. And just a quick text. And we are all so busy, and I'm guilty of that too, but just being mindful of it and just sending a quick text or a box or something to reach out to somebody, because you truly never know. And that just totally changed. And I don't know, that was my takeaway for this week.
That's really cool. I'm glad that somebody sent you a cat book. That's pretty amazing. You deserve it.
It's not the first cat book I've ever gotten, but I have some really interesting ones. But yeah, but it was really sweet. It was by somebody in our community here too, and so I'm very, very thankful for that.
So cool, so cool.
Yeah, I'd say my takeaway this week is, our teachers had their first opening day yesterday, and it was tough because we were planning on going back in person in a hybrid model, and we were forced to pivot to completely virtual. So they've had to spin yet again on a dime, and just to encourage teachers that, we really do appreciate everything that they're doing. We respect you as professionals. We know you have our kids' interests deep in your hearts, and that we're there to support you. and doing everything that we can to support you. And what I encouraged a couple of teachers who I talked to personally was, let's look at this as a positive. A lot of this, our state testing and things, the handcuffs have been taken off. Use this opportunity to do why you got into education, to engage the kids, build relationships, because now's the time to take some risks and some chances, and let's just rock this year.
Love it.
Well, I had a 2-part workshop this week, and it's a struggle in the realm of creativity, design, this really kind of exciting space that people want to be in. If they can breathe, if the triage has sort of subsided, like no one would deny that they don't want to be part of something that's higher than like Google Classroom training. But you really need Google Classroom training before you get into some of the deeper conversations and ways of using technology. So I had this workshop, and I've done it before in person many times. I've done it for faculties of 200, 300 people. So I know it works, and I know it scales. And I'm sitting alone in my studio on the Zoom, and it's not working. It's like we start with the design sprint. It's really about understanding your students, and I could feel it was like the air was thick with it not working. And I quickly pivoted and was just like, okay, change this, and this. And we finished. Next, fast forward a day later, on Thursday, we finished the final part of the workshop. Do a debrief with the admin team, and they said that they could see it wasn't working, and they actually admitted it was their fault, which was also nice. They didn't prepare their teachers well enough with technology capacity to be able to even focus on this. If you can't copy a Google Doc, right? How can you run a design sprint of how to integrate technology in a way that meaningfully considers student needs? It's just we're missing some sort of piece. But she said the way that you pivoted and showed the teachers how, when something is not working in this digital environment and you're aware that it's not working, that you have a secondary plan, you have a way to guide them and continue to ensure that they're supported and that they get the value that you want them to get. So I was like, okay, good, because I was more stressed out about that pivot, because I don't actually like to pivot like that. But it's kind of nice. We got some I thought I was bringing some vibrating vibes from that comment. The technology is submitting itself, but no, it's just I'm an extrovert that gets energy from other people's energy when I'm in person with them, connecting with them. So it's been very difficult to go into this fully digital space for me. Going from traveling 3 times a month around the country to sitting alone in my little studio with my blue background. And it was good to be able to model a real struggle that teachers are going to experience, and show them that you can be transparent, you can express that this is failing and this isn't working, but we're in this together and we're going to make it work. So
that's a really good takeaway, and it makes me think of my takeaway. It's just we're trying so hard to have all the resources that we need to have to be remote teachers, but there's a lot of things that we're missing, because this is not our usual. And then when you look at educators who are professional online teachers that are offering really amazing things and techniques, I'm in so many different communities, so I'm just speaking of what I've seen. I see educators just tear it down, and then I see educators embrace it because they just want best practices. We've talked, this whole week has been controversial about turning on the cameras, making sure kids are wearing uniforms, things like that. And I've heard from educators who have been teaching online for years say that those are not the 2 things for success. And so my weekly takeaway are we focusing on the things that are really going to make our kids want to stay engaged and stay involved, or are we focused on compliancy issues? And also, how does that trickle down from like the leadership in schools? And it's made me think about like, what kind of school setting that I want to go back into with my kids, because we all like kind of get hurt by those compliancy issues. And when you're talking about being able to pivot, Rabbi, like, do educators feel that freedom that if something is going wrong that they can do that, or do they feel like they're stuck and they just shut down because everything has to feel perfect? And I see that happening and playing out in the different communities that I'm involved in, and my friends who are struggling. So that's just something that I'm observing this week. And the thing I love about this is that we can come together and talk about it. And but I see so many educators trying to do amazing things and putting together amazing resources, and are so excited for back to school, even though it's a little bit more painful than it normally is. And we're usually very excited, smelling of the pencils, but there's still things that educators are putting out that they're excited about. And for me, that's just exciting to see. They're heroes, So that's my takeaway.
Do you smell the pencils?
I do smell pencils. Like, I like that smell. I like old-fashioned sharpeners. I love all of that.
What about like the old school when they used to do the copier and you had to crank and that ink? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like to make copies. I mean, at my school, they had that, and you had to go, and if you had 60 copies, you had to crank that drum 60 times to make it imprint. And then you had the purple over your hands. I know I pulled out papers like that in my 8th grade STEAM course to show them. We do old technology, and they're talking about printing and copying and all that stuff. I said, well, look at this worksheet. It was actually from the Spanish teacher from before me. And so, hard to read. It was, first of all, it was cursive handwriting. So they were like, is this written in Spanish? I said, actually, no, that's in English. It's just written in cursive. But then, I mean, the kids actually like the smell of it. And I said, you wouldn't have liked it if you had to be the one cranking that and turning it. But there are certain things. I mean, school supplies. I always love going back to school, buy notebooks. And I mean, I love notebooks and paper and all of that. So it's, I was just curious about the pencils.
Yeah. Well, do you think about like when things are going to get better and things are going to turn around and things are going to feel like normal? Like, I feel like I think about that a lot. Like, it's going to feel normal then, or I just think about, the future. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I thought it would be normal now, actually. At the end of May, I was quite hopeful that it would be more so. And it's hard to plan, though. I mean, even just with schools and things. And I'm curious about the schools that are virtual. How many of them are the teachers teaching from home, or are they required to go to their classrooms, or is it kind of an option? Just seeing different trends across the country with what's happening. And I totally get if teachers want to be in their classroom just because everything is there and it's more connected with the students. But then I also totally get for some teachers that want to be, flexible and have the choice on some days to just be at home because, it's, I don't know, the stress or just the balance, or if you've already created your own office space to teach from, any of those things.
Right. Real issues. Okay. So our time is coming short, and I want to respect that. And we usually talk about weekend chats, but since we have two amazing guests, I want to say thank you to Julie and the Rabbi Michael Cohen for joining us today. What are some opportunities that, if there's any opportunities that you want to extend before we go, or share, let us know.
You're talking about to us?
Go ahead. Yeah. And Rachelle too, like anything that you guys want to put out there for anybody to join.
Well, I would say, anyone that's watching, feel free to join yet another Facebook community. But there's a lot of cool conversations, and we're gonna be kicking the creativity challenges back into high gear this coming week, and just really trying to push how we express and communicate information in creative ways, and really look at it from that thought process and not as much from the doing, the action.
Awesome. So we're inviting you to the community. It's the Creating Confidence. I'll drop it in the comments too after this isn't live, but I'll definitely drop that too. Julie, what about you? How can people get?
Yeah, so they can connect with us on Twitter. We hashtag Parent Camp. We have a Facebook group that's running Parent Camp. But then I'd like to invite everybody to the next virtual parent camp, which is the 26th. And just a quick what our lineup is. We have Jim Sporlander, who's going to be leading, facilitating discussion on ACEs and resiliency in schools. He's from California. He's been on before. He's a leader in that sphere. We've got Doc Sheila and Dr. Brenda Harwood back. Part 2, Parents as Talent Developers. We're looking for somebody, if anybody knows anyone who's really good at Canvas, we have a technology room that we're running every week to help parents learn about the different technologies. That's one thing that we've been asked for is, there's all these tools that we're having to use with our kids, but we don't know how to use them as parents. And so this past week we had Sam Carey leading a session on Google Classroom and having parents play in Google Classroom. We're looking for somebody who can help us with that with Canvas. So if you can, please reach out to us. And then our last classroom, we're really excited because we have the National Teacher of the Year, Tabitha Rusboy. And she's going to have one on how to positively support learners at home in the preschool environment. So we've got and that's a real struggle for the preschool and especially for the little ones in this virtual environment. It's really hard, and a lot of it is falling back on the parents just because of the environment, the way that works, the age.
Definitely. I love that. So if anybody, I know that we have educators that are great in Canvas. So there's an opportunity here to be a leader. Contact Julie. I'll put your information on Twitter. It's at Julie Pyle. And you can go to parentcamp.org. And then Rachelle, do you have any book chats? Or I know your book camp, you have a lot going on too. Do you want to put that out there before we go?
Well, I mean, that's Sunday night, 7:30, Book Camp PD. What else? There's Teach Pause on Sunday nights, Oregon Ed Chat Sunday nights. But even on Saturday mornings, there are a ton of chats on Saturday mornings. Even tonight, there are some, but there's like the Ed Chat EU, which is a global chat. You got Sat Chat. You got all the Lead Lab, Edu Gladiators, you name it. But for anybody that looks, I always refer back to Book Camp PD because she has that, or Jerry, his Cyber Man. He has a list of all the chats that are happening too. So if you think, you know what, I have time for a chat, where do I go? Just sit down and pull up one of those sites, and you can just type in the day of the week or the time, and it'll take you to something that's happening. So, or just put a tweet out and say like, what chats are happening, and somebody's going to answer.
Right. Awesome. Well, respecting everybody's time, we hope you have a great weekend. Take care of yourself. And for those people who are starting to go back into school, who've already been back into school, we wish you the best. Let us know how you're doing, and just take care of yourself and take some time to do something that you love. And we'll see you again on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
And thank you, Rabbi and Julie, for joining us today. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.